This is episode 26. In the previous episode, we had started chapter 4 and covered verses 1 to 8. Today, we will continue with chapter 4, which is known as Gyana Yoga. Today, we will cover 7 more verses of chapter 4, that is verses 9 to 15. Let us start off with the literal translation and then we will talk about some interesting things. Verse 9 is Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvatah Tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. God says that those who understand my divine nature, including birth and action, do not take birth again upon leaving the body, but come to my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Then verse 10 is Veet rag bhay krodha manmaya mam upashritah bahavo jnana tapsa puta mad bhavam agatah. God says, one who is free from attachment, fear and anger, becoming fully absorbed in me, has taken refuge in me, and whose knowledge is purified by penance, attains me and my divine love. So whoever has let go of attachment, fear and anger, is fully absorbed in me, has surrendered oneself to me, and has purified one's intellect by penance, attains me and my divine love. This was verse 10, and then verse 11 is Ye yatha mam prapadyante tan tathaiv bhajami aham mam vartma anuvartante manushya parth sarvasha. God says, in whatever way people surrender to me, I reciprocate them in the same way. Everyone follows the path that I show at all times, O Arjuna. In other words, all men in all manners pursue a path to me. I reciprocate in the same way that they look upon me. And everyone follows the path or everyone pursues a path to me are the two interpretations of this verse. Then verse 12 is Kanshantah karmanam siddhim yajant eh devata kshipram hi manushe loke siddhe bhavati karmaja. God says, those desiring success in material activities worship the devas. Since in this world, the material rewards arising from karma happen or manifest quickly. This was verse 12. And then verse 13 is Chatur Varnayam Maya Srishtam Gun Karma Vibhagasha Tasya Kartaram Api Mam Vidhi Akartaram Avayam. God says that the 4 categories of occupations were created by me according to people's qualities and activities. Consider me as the creator of this order while knowing me as someone who is a non-doer or non-acting and imperishable. This was verse 13. And verse 14 is Na mam karmani limpanti na me karma phale spriha iti mam yo abhijanati karma bhin na sabadhyate. Action does not taint or affect me, nor do I desire the fruits of action. One who knows me in this way is never bound by karma. In actuality, he or she is free from the bondage of karma. Verse 15 is Evam gyatva kritam karma purvah api mumukshubhi kuru karmaiv tasmat tvam purvah purvataram kritam. While trying to understand me, wise people in ancient times performed action with the desire for salvation. Therefore, following the footsteps of those ancient sages, you too should perform your righteous action. So that was verse 15 as well as the literal translation. And now let's talk about some important verses. Let's start with verse 9, wherein God says, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tatvata tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti so Arjuna. This means one who in true essence understands this divine nature of mine, including birth and action, does not take rebirth after leaving the body. Rather, he comes to me, O Arjuna. Now, the question here is, what is rebirth? I covered this in episode 19 when we were discussing verses 72 and 51 of chapter 2. We then discussed rebirth many times. And I said that there are multiple interpretations of birth and death in our culture. It is believed in many places that every breath you inhale and exhale is one count of birth and death. Many others say that every dream cycle is birth and death. That is, when you are asleep, it's death. Once you wake up from the dream, it's birth. Thus, there are many interpretations of birth and death. And in episode 19, when we were summarizing chapter 2, I mentioned that you will see many references to birth, death, and rebirth in Gita. My interpretation is that the cycle of birth and death is the cycle wherein your internal Sanjay does introspection of internal or external righteous battle that you have fought. Dharma kshetre kurukshetre samveta yuyotsava mamkah pandavaschaiv kim akurvat Sanjaya. What did they do today, Sanjay? Whenever Sanjay does this introspection, it is believed that one death has happened and post his introspection, a new birth takes place. So my interpretation is that whoever understands this divine form of God on every introspection cycle does not get entangled in internal conflicts and instead attains me or attains eternal peace. This is how I interpret verse 9. Understanding my divine form means one who understands the eternal as unborn, imperishable, and present everywhere. It manifests in your body, just like the soul that never dies. Also, your senses are meant to serve the interests of your soul. They are the servant of the soul, not vice versa. And one who wins over ego with the help of soul, that is, kills Bhishma with the help of Krishna, who is free from the bondage of fruits of action, who doesn't consider themselves as the cause, understands my divine birth and action cycle with essence. One who understands all of this doesn't get entangled, confused, or makes errors in the new righteous battle whenever his or her internal Sanjay does the introspection, because he or she has reached unto me, O Arjun. This is my interpretation. By the way, I have mentioned many times that birth, carrying karma at the time of death, and rebirth aren't my beliefs. If you want to believe in them, you can do so. Paramahansa Yoganand believes in birth and rebirth, as well as the fact that the soul carries karma and that it doesn't merge into the spirit until good deeds or actions are accumulated over many births. Even if you want to believe this, the truth is that on this earth you have to perform karma along with yoga. Karma should have an aim of fighting the righteous battle. It should have hard work, perseverance, intelligence, rational discrimination, skill, and knowledge. This is the truth, irrespective of your beliefs on birth, carrying karma at the time of death or rebirth. And it is also true that your internal soul will never die, as it is eternal, similar to the waves of an ocean, because the ocean is eternal. My interpretation and the interpretation of Paramahansa Yoganand are different. It is up to you what you want to believe in. It doesn't change the basic principles of the Gita. So this is an important verse, and I thought I would spend some time on this. The next verse I want to talk about is verse 11, which is Ye yatha mam prapadyante tan tathaiv bhajami aham mam vartma anuvartante manushya parth sarvashah. In whatever way people surrender to me, I reciprocate them in the same way. Everyone follows the path that I show at all times, O Parth, or they pursue a path that leads to me at all times. The first line of this verse is similar to Ramcharitmanas, wherein Tulsidas ji says, Jaki rahi bhavana jaisi prabhu murat dekhi tin taisi. This translates into, in whichever way or form one chooses to perceive God, he reciprocates in the same way. It could be in the form of a friend, parent, child, beloved, or teacher. God will appear in the same form to you. Something to note is that a lot of people don't understand the essence of words at times. In the Bhagavad Gita, you will notice a few words that are used to recite God. One of the words is Om Radha Ramanaya Namah. The simplistic interpretation of this phrase literally is lover of Radha. So this is invoking the lover of Radha, Om Radha Ramanaya Namah. But I disagree with this. Radha Ramanaya Namah refers to one who is absorbed or immersed in Radha. I could be absorbed or immersed in the infinite, or in the beautiful flowers, or the fragrance of a garden, or in enchanting music. Similarly, Krishna is absorbed or immersed in Radha. It doesn't mean that he thinks of Radha as his beloved. But let us say that Radha worshipped Krishna as her beloved. So Krishna reciprocated to her in the same way he would do with Meera. It's not that Krishna's love for Radha and Meera is different. It is that both of them worship Krishna as their beloved, and Krishna reciprocates that. God will reciprocate to you in the same form you worship him. I am always therefore intrigued by Radha Ramanaya Namah and the relationship between Radha and Krishna, since it is the relationship between God and his devotee. Anyway, let's move forward to verse 4.12, where we are talking about the Devas. Kanshantah karmanam siddhim yajant eh devta kshipram hi manushe loke siddhi bhavati karmaja. This means those desiring success in material activities worship the Devas. Since in this world, material rewards arising from karma happen or manifest quickly. Here Devas refer to small objectives. That is, worshipping Devas can bring us success. But even for that, we have to perform action along with yoga. We need to control our senses and do all activities by which we can attain or reach God. Worshipping Devas is a step to the eternal. But if you stop there, you won't be able to attain eternal peace and will be confined to material happiness, which is ephemeral. This is because you worship Devas or pursue these smaller objectives to gain material benefit. So this was verse 4.12. And then verse 4.13 is important, wherein I will cover two things. Chatur varnayam maya srishtam gun karma vibhagasha tasya kartaram api mama vidhi akartaram avayam. God says that the four categories of occupations were created by me according to people's qualities and activities. Consider me as the creator of the system, however, knowing me as someone who is a non-doer, non-performer, and imperishable. Since he is God, he is present on the balcony as well. This verse is criticized a lot, as it is said that by attributing four varnas to God, we perpetuate the caste system. Paramahansa Yoganand says that these four varnas weren't hereditary and they had no links with birth. He further states that when these were created, they reflected the types of roles in the society. So Brahmins were researchers or teachers, Kshatriyas were soldiers or rulers, Vaishyas were businessmen or landowners, and Shudras were the workers who were deployed in these lands or these businesses to work. The second line of this verse is more important, wherein God says, "Consider me as the creator of the system, knowing me as someone who is a non-doer or non-performer and imperishable." So God is both a doer and a non-doer. This is a very important concept in the Bhagavad Gita. And God says, he who sees action in inaction and inaction in action is wise and has attained Gyana Yoga. You have to see inaction in action and action in inaction to understand Gyana Yoga. We will stop here today. Thank you.